The double-decked river cruiser lurched in its moorings as if already seasick. I hung onto the coarse rope slung along the gangplank, clutched my baby to my hip, and followed my father to a vacant wooden bench at the stern of the boat. Gripping the wrist of our jet-lagged, hyperactive toddler, my husband joined us to watch the last of the wedding guests arrive and cast long shadows in the dragging midsummer evening. The River Thames slapped at the hull. "There she is," Dad said. At the far end of the long barge, beyond the draping dresses and the high heels, the sparkling jewellery and the black suits, my mother sat with her second husband, Avi. Her sleeved mid-calf dress covered her tightly clasped knees. Pearls strung her throat like a noose. "She looks old," I said. It had been 20 years, 22. Mum had known Avi only a few months when she left England, left me and my siblings, children, all of us, to move abroad with him. My sister had forgiven her, invited her to the wedding. I had neither seen nor spoken to her since she left. Handing the baby to my husband, I seized our buzzing 2-year-old by the hand. "I'll find somewhere quieter, calm her down." Below, I sat on a red vinyl banquette under a porthole at the edge of the underlit lounge. An engine kicked. The boat shuddered as if in protest, jerked and settled into a barely perceptible cruise. My daughter, stretched out on the bench, pretended to try to fall asleep. Resting my hand on my child's belly, gently swelling with each breath, I told myself, I will not spoil my sister's wedding. I will not confront Mum. Smile non-committally if needed and ignore her. I will not spoil my sister's wedding. The porthole darkened. The long evening finally accepted the night. Dance music filtered down from the upper deck and competed with the thrum of the engine. Thud, thud. There was no way off this boat. There was no way off this banquette. Mum and Avi, uninvited, dragged 2 chairs to the opposite side of my table and sat down. "So, tell me about yourself," Mum said. "What have you been up to?" What have I been up to for over 20 years? I don't think it was rudeness that prevented me from answering. She tried again. "It's very odd seeing your father. He looks older." Mum smiled as if daring me to suggest that she did too. Her face seemed to break with the smile. The fine wrinkles which ran down her cheeks from the corners of her bright blue eyes creviced. "He has put on weight, your father, a lot." She patted her own relatively flat stomach. In fact, I'm not sure I would have recognised him if I hadn't seen him here, in context. I had to know. I knew I might be punishing myself, but I had to ask. "Would you have recognised me?" For a moment, she looked directly at me. Goodness, her eyes were blue. I met her stare. Her gaze deflected and settled on my forehead. I held my breath. "Probably not, no." I didn't notice my husband descend the open riser stairs. Shunting the baby to his other side, he slid across the bench and laid a protective arm across my shoulder, his warm thigh pressing against mine. "Are you okay?" Mum and Avi rose from the table and walked towards the stairs. Avi paused, turned to me, and said, "You would like your mother." I shook my head. "You don't know me. You can't possibly have any idea what or whom I like." Mum and Avi returned to the dancing. "Don't worry," I said to my husband. "I'll forgive Mum by the time my sister has her second wedding."